Hello, I'm Keith with Vintage Fishing Reel Rescue. Today we have this Marado Compass c631c deepwater reel. This one here, the reset button happens to be gone. You can push down in there with something and reset it. Take like something like that and reach down in there and it is resettable. It just, the button's missing. I have looked, I can't seem to find a replacement button. It's not that big a deal to me, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. This reel does work decent. I just want to give it a service. Make sure it's all lubricated, cleaned up, and stays working properly. Everything seems to work on it. I have fished with this reel. Just messing around with it, trying to learn it. Not my most favorite reel. I don't really use it much now at all, but just play around with it. I like to mess around with different reels, try different style reels and such. This one is a gear ratio of 4.1 to 1. It is a 3-ball bearing reel. So, all right, let's dive into this. I like starting to take the external pieces off. I'm going to leave these levers on. I don't know exactly how it's set up inside, so I'm going to use those to hold pieces inside. I'm going to pull the handle off and then pull this cover off and go from there. Pull this screw out. This is a cover over the nut or screw for the handle. Helps lock it into place so it doesn't don't back off on you. I like to put my parts into parts trays. That way I don't lose them. They stay organized, and if I get done and I got parts left over, I know I missed something. I like to use sockets on these whenever I have my socket set handy. That way I don't mess it up. This is a brass nut. I don't want to grab it with pliers and scar it up and take a chance at rounding off the edges, so I might as well use the correct tool for the job. I happen to have my socket set here handy with me today, so take that nut off. We'll set that in the bin, or the parts tray. We'll set the handle over here beside the parts tray. You want to take pictures as you go along so you can see how stuff is. If you get distracted and need to go back and review the pictures or video to see how it goes back together, you got a reference point. Sometimes you get a phone call, you got to go walk the dog, whatever. That way if you get distracted, you can come back, or if something falls off or while you're reassembling you can't remember how it went, you have a reference. So there is some parts schematics online for a lot of these reels. Some of them are hard to find, some you can find easily, but pictures, the videos work great. I use the video when I can't remember how something goes back together. So behind this handle there is this washer, so I want to take that off, make sure I don't lose it. It is a keyed washer, by the way. It's keyed just like the handle. It fits the shaft. I'm going to leave the drag wheel on for now. I'm going to back it off so it's loose and easily movable, but I want that to hold the main shaft. Like I say, I've never been in one of these. I don't have a clue what's in here, but we're about to find out. And we'll get these cover screws out. A lot of these screws, you can see you can use a Phillips or a straight screwdriver on them, which is convenient. Also like to lay the screws out so that I can make sure they're all the same length. I don't have one shorter than the other going into too deep of a hole or too shallow of a hole. Put a long screw in a short hole may not work out. There's that screw there. Pull this screw here off. Get this one here out. Alright, let's pull this cover off. Watch for parts to fall out. Okay, the cover seems to have something holding it in place. It seems to be around this main shaft, so I'm going to pull this star drag wheel off of here. Maybe the main shaft stays with the body. That's how I'm going to find out. Okay. I want to make sure to note what way this drag star drag was. This side with the 3 notches was up. This side is indented, so it fits over top of this. You put it on backwards, it's not going to work right. Looks like there's a washer there. I believe there's a washer, yes. So we want to remember that goes behind the star wheel. It is a round brass washer. So I want to make sure that stays there. Okay, now my cover is coming off easily. There was a bearing right there. Okay, I do have this piece floating there, rides on a shaft in here. This might be very interesting to get back together. There's some springs and such down in here we've got to be very careful about. Wonder why that doesn't want to come out. You would think that that would come with that outside cover. All right, let's see here. I'll lift these springs off one at a time. I'm going to get another parts tray just for these internal parts, so I can keep them separated. Set that there. Set that there. Okay, and then that gear and shift fork is going to come off. More saddle. Oh, no, that's underneath that. So that gear has to come off of there. Okay. Gear is coming off the shaft. My drag is inside of this gear. There I have a bearing. I had this small washer, that flat washer, and another one. This one looks like it is a concave washer. It was setting in this direction. I'm going to stack these all on top of that so I don't lose the order they were in. Those are actually both concave, so that's like a spring there for the drag pressure. Set that all on top of that gear set and set that in my parts tray. Actually, I'm going to set next to it and the bearing set on top. I like to stack these like that. That way when I go to reassembling, okay, these were all together. So it helps me remember. I don't have the best memory in the world. So now this gear here will come off along with that fork, that shift fork as I call it, or saddle. You can see how it's shaped. It fits right into the groove on the gear. So far this seems to be in pretty nice shape in here. I'm going to set that over there by the main gear so I know it goes with that stuff. We have our anti-reverse wheel here, and this is the anti-reverse dog. So looks like there is a metal strap right here that goes over top of that to help keep that lined up. I'm going to pull them together and lay it out together. That way I can see how this goes. That way everything, I believe that strap is for helping to reassemble it, so it'll hold that right in place when you go to put that cover on, because that shaft is in that other cover it rides on. I don't know if that shaft pulls out, but I can see there's a fiber washer on this anti-reverse, and there's some other pieces on the back side here. So we want to be very careful not to lose any of them. I'm going to stack that all together. Like I said, I've not had this apart, so I'm hoping I get it apart and back together without too much trouble. Okay, this piece comes off. I'm noting that this pin goes up toward the top. Those notches go down toward the bottom. And I know that that fits under that other piece there, that anti-reverse. So I'm going to put that with that so I remember that to assemble it in that order. Okay, this is quite an involved reel. Looks like the spool is going to come out of the back side. So this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean and lubricate this side, get it all back together, and then disassemble the other side so I don't get parts confused. And it's a little easier to remember how things are. This reel is actually pretty clean. The grease is not all dried up and everything, so not a lot of cleanup on this. But definitely going to get it lubricated when I reassemble it. Okay, I use Super Lube. It's rated for 45 below 0 Fahrenheit to 450. It is a synthetic lubricant. It works really well. It does not get dried up, hard up, gelled up. Doesn't mix with water. It is saltwater rated, so it's real good for fishing reels and such. It appears there's a bearing down in there, so I'm going to put a little 3-in-1 oil down there, let that soak into that bearing. while I lubricate this shaft. Lubricate this here, this case where them gears ride against. Okay. See if this pin pulls out of this case or not. I don't. Nope, it does not. It is part of that case. We have some other plastic pieces here I want to lubricate. I'm just going to use a little 3-in-1 oil. I like to lubricate the springs. Those move and can wear. And it's going to help reduce any kind of friction by lubricating this stuff. I also want to lubricate that shaft where that piece rides. Okay, got that done. So let's go ahead and start reassembling. Get this here. This goes down over top of that, sits in here, fits down in like so. There's a pin there that rides on. That actually is what actuates the shift fork on this gear. There's ramps there that raise and lower this piece to put it into the casting mode, in and out of the casting mode. Okay, put that down there. I'm going to put some lubrication on that gear. Hold that. Should have lubricated it while I had it out, but that's okay. Everything's real clean in here, so it's not a lot of cleanup to worry about. Make sure I lubricate the gear really well. Okay. Now I've got this stack here. Take this apart one piece at a time and put it right back onto the reel. This piece goes on the very bottom. This is the piece I was lubricating when I lubricated that case. Then we have this piece here that fits into that one. It is also keyed. Okay, now that's down on there. Now we're going to put the anti-reverse. I want to make sure my dog stays with it. We're going to put the anti-reverse on this. Remember, it fit over that, goes over top of that hole where that shaft is going to go in later. Try to line it up with that hole the best I can. It's going to move around. It's probably going to be a pain to put that cover back on. Okay, now I'm going to leave them springs there right now. I'm going to take my drag stack apart, clean it, lubricate it, and then that way I know it's in good condition. Here's my bearing. I'm going to lubricate my bearing while I have it out right here. Remember, I had the little washer. I have two concave or convex washers that fit together. That's the spring for the pressure on the drag. Okay, now we have this flat washer here. Looks like it may have nylon drag washers in it. Let's stack that on there. We'll pull the eared washer out next. That first one was a keyed washer. It was keyed to fit that shaft, the main shaft. Now we're going to put the eared washer on top of the nylon. Whoops. It may be graphite, may not be nylon. I'm not 100% sure what they're made out of. Some sort of plastic. That's what we'll say. We're going to lubricate this as it goes back together. There, I'm just making sure I don't forget orders and get everything reassembled properly so this thing works as it did. Maybe even better. Okay, we had that. I'll put a little lubrication right there. Now I have the keyed washer. I drop a lubrication on that. My next fiber washer, another drop of lubrication on that side. Got my eared washer. Drop, drop. This under there. Drop, drop. And then we got the flat one on the top. So now let's set this into place. Those are keyed washers, so you have to work it around to get it to go down onto there. Actually, a lot of times I put the gear right into place and then work them down. There we go. Oops, I want to put a little grease in this gear. I like to fill the teeth of these up. That way it's got plenty of lubrication. These are brass gears. This seems to be a pretty nice reel. I really don't know much about it. Picked this one up at the thrift store. Put those on, and then we have our little flat washer there, and our bearing set on top of all that. Okay, now we got our 2 springs here. Gonna put them on these pins here and here. Want to lubricate the end of this shaft just a little bit where it rides on that case. I want to get this anti-reverse dog back into place because it has moved. There. Now we got the cover. We're going to put the case on. Wiggle that around a little bit to get it set down into where it goes. It's not wanting to snap quite down on there. Seems that top pins there's, oops, I got the, how did a spring come out of place on me, but no. Come on. Okay. Those. That's working. Okay, seems everything is back in place. So now let's get a screw or two in this cover so I don't lose anything out. You can cross thread these screws also. These are a coarse thread screw going into that plastic. I like to try to start them gently so that they go back into their original position and don't put new threads into the hole. Okay. Like to leave the cover a little bit loose just so all the screws line up and it lines the cover properly. Start snugging them up, get this last one in. Okay, now we had this flat washer went behind the drag wheel, so we'll put that on. We'll spin our drag wheel on, paying attention to how it was on there. Gotta hold that shaft that's wanting to spin. Now I can hold it with the handle. I'll put the handle here just so I can hold that shaft and spin the drag wheel on the rest of the way. Okay, we got that down there. Go all the way down. Now we had this flat washer went between the drag wheel and the handle, and it was a keyed washer. Put that, we'll put the handle, get our nut back on and get that secured, and then we're going to tear into the other side. Snug it up, put the cover over it. Let's see, is that lining up? up right there. Okay. That is a locking cover. It keeps that nut from backing off while you're using it. Very inconvenient if your handle comes off while you're fishing, of course. And reverse, the free spool mode. It all seems to be working as it did, or as it should. Alright, now we're going to pull this side cover off. Again, you want to be careful, watch for stuff that falls out. There can sometimes be broken parts that'll fall out. I've had that happen. Where pieces just fall out of place, you know, when you pull the cover off. Which really inconvenient because sometimes they're very hard to figure out how it goes back together. But most of the time you can figure it out. Unless, like I say, it is broken and you just can't. I have had reels I've taken apart that would not go back together because of stuff falling out of them. Or mostly broken parts. I couldn't find the pieces as big as the issue. Okay, we have all those screws out. Let's gently lift this cover off. Everything seems to be stayed in place. This side has a lot of gears in it. I'm not going to pull all them gears out. I'm going to wipe the grease off this and lubricate everything and put her back together. Those gears are held on by screws. I don't see a reason to pull it all out. If the grease is all gummed up and everything, yeah, it'd be a good idea, but I don't want to cause myself any more headache. So let's get a little grease down in here into these teeth of these gears. These gears run that line counter. They are plastic gear. It had grease on it. That's why I'm putting grease back in it. This is the clicker wheel here, or clicker piece here. There is a bearing down here I'm going to lubricate. Also going to put a little drop of grease onto these gears. A little bit of 3-in-1 oil. Lubricate that clicker, the back side of that clicker lever. There's also a wear point here, that spring where it rides in the case. I'm going to lubricate there. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the end of this shaft and on those gears here also. And onto the level wind drive here. So let's go ahead and put this cover back on and get a little piece of bristle off my brush. Components. This one was not bad. Like I said, it's the first time I've had one of these apart. So this is a learning experience for everybody. This one is not super bad. It was definitely was a little cautious on it, especially on the other side with all them pieces. Main thing is to, like I did, stack them together, put the pieces that go together, and that way you can reassemble them. Just take each stack and put it back in the order you took it out. So it's not real bad, just paying attention. Oops. And I was not paying attention there, was I just noticed I have one screw that is way longer than the rest. It probably goes here. Yeah, I'm going to bet it goes right there because that's a deeper hole. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's things to pay attention for. I mess up too. I do it all the time. Now that'll fit into there. That's a much better fit. So yeah, it wouldn't have worked out if I'd have put that long screw in that short hole. It would have punched right through the back side of there and broke my reel. Snug all these screws up. Don't have to over tighten them, just I like to get them snug. I don't like them backing out and falling and getting lost. You don't want your reel falling apart. That's never convenient. There we are. We snug that up. This is a pretty easy cleanup. It is a graphite composite reel, so very easy to clean, and it looks really good when it's cleaned up nice. It does have a metal foot I am going to lubricate that level wind on here. I'll do that in just a minute. This reel can be purchased. It's going to be going online for sale real soon here. So if you're interested in it, definitely leave a comment or send me an email and I'll send you the link. Lubricate that and let's work this to get that oil worked into that. Shut that clicker off. That's very annoying. That is the snap swivel that I have on this line. That's a 30-pound line. There. This thing is working really nice and free. This does have a spool adjuster here. We'll go ahead and adjust that spool. You see how loose it is now. I backed it off, so I want to be able to set it. The way I usually set these, I get them down to where I can just feel the movement in it, but I cannot see it. I can feel it, but I don't see it, so that's where I like to run it. That way it's as free as it can be without being flopping around in there. Inside was really nice and clean. This reel looks like it was sealed up pretty good. I don't know if it's ever been dipped in water or not, but the inside looked really good. No sand or anything down in there. Just getting the excess oils and grease off of this. There's the free spool mode. That kicks it out. There we are. Alright, thanks a lot for watching this video and coming back to the channel. If you're interested in this type of thing, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to hit the notification bell so that way you get notified when I put a new video out.